Linda Dashew. Welcome aboard Beowulf.
Beowulf is our latest design, which Steve and I have sailed over 17,000 miles in the last couple of years. At 78 feet, you'd think she was a handful for the two of us, but she has proven to be the easiest of all our yachts to handle offshore and in close quarters. There are several reasons for this. First, she has a very powerful hull shape, augmented by water ballast. This means we rarely have to shorten sail, even when it's blowing. Next, she's designed to sail bareheaded, with just main and mizzen, so the jib is the first sail we put away when it starts to blow.
The one design feature that makes Beowulf so easy for Linda and me to handle is her ability to sail bareheaded and tack in close quarters without the jib.
Off the wind, a roller furling reacher is set on the bowsprit, while a roller furler jib is set ahead of the mizzen. This easy-to-handle combination really gets the boat moving. Yet one or both of the sails are quickly rolled up if the breeze goes forward or kicks up. In lighter winds and when sailing at really deep downwind angles, an asymmetric spinnaker is easy and fun to fly. The mizzen chute brings the performance up another notch, and being all inboard can be left up in strong winds. One of the things which makes Beowulf so easy for the two of us to handle is this autopilot remote.
It's on a long tether. We can use it anywhere inside the boat or out on deck. This allows us to steer the boat without having to actually stand at the wheel. This lever acts as a steering wheel if you want to use it that way. This lever can change courses. So if you want to change the course to starboard, it's one click is 1 degree. To the right, to port, one click is 1 degree to the left. And we've been steering the boat in these boisterous conditions beautifully in conjunction with the wind instruments. I take a look at the position of the wind on the boat on the wind instrument and just try to keep it in the same place with slight adjustments now and then. On the wheel, it's really marvelous.
The hull, rig, and fins work together to minimize steering loads on the autopilot. The action, or I should say inaction, on this rudder angle indicator is typical for surfing in trade wind seas. Of course, not all sailing is off the wind. Occasionally, you have to go to windward. In these circumstances, at 30 to 32 degrees apparent, in 18 to 20 knots of wind, you can count on a reasonable level of comfort while making 230 to 250 miles a day towards your destination. Beowulf's long water line and fine bow entry, coupled with an efficient ketch rig, make this possible. The handling issues we are most concerned with come under power, maneuvering and tight quarters. Beowulf's propulsion and rudder system is designed so that she can rotate in her own length, using prop torque in reverse, and then prop wash against the rudder in forward. You simply work the shift and throttle levers back and forward, and around she goes. She will also reverse in a straight line. Because she has a controllable pitch prop, the torque of which can be reversed, Beowulf can be made to rotate in the opposite direction as well. This capability makes it possible to get into and out of some really tight spaces. It's not unusual for one of us to go ashore to handle the lines. We start out with a single breast line located on the center of lateral resistance. So when you tighten it with one of the primary winches, the boat comes evenly against the dock. How about a med-style mooring?
What we'll do is go in with standard pitch, and then what I want you to do is reduce the pitch from 3.5 to 2.5 when I tell you.
51.
You drop it to 2.5.
As you can see here, the reversible prop thrust allows Beowulf to be positioned exactly in the center of the space reserved for her.
Did you catch a stern line? Okay, I'm going to want you to reverse the pitch here.
Okay.
Say when.
Coming up. 4 stern.
Over the years, we've learned that the most important thing that you can do to minimize maintenance problems is to have good access to all of your systems.
The engine room is located in the aft 18 feet of the hull, and there is full access to every piece of gear, a key factor in keeping maintenance simple and easy. A half hour a day on the DC genset provides all of the fresh water and electricity required to run this vessel. There are dual alternators and a 50-gallon per hour water maker. The main engine also has dual alternators. The hot water heater has 3 heat exchangers connected to the genset, main engine, and a diesel boiler, providing an inexhaustible supply for bathing. Dual fridge compressors provide redundancy. There's an electrical subpanel for all engine room systems: the central vacuum, bilge pumps, Hundestat prop control, autopilot hydraulics, and water ballast pumps are all right where you can easily get at them. There's lots of storage in the engine room too. Under power, Beowulf cruises at 11 plus knots for less than 4 gallons per hour. At this speed, Beowulf has a range under power of better than 2,000 miles. She'll do 12 knots plus when motor sailing with just a little help from the wind for the same or better fuel consumption. And when you are heading into the prevailing wind and waves, the ride is very smooth. Even though Beowulf is easy to handle under power, it's way more fun to sail into and out of the harbor.
We're going to hoist the mizzen first. That'll keep us weathercocked into the breeze. After the mizzen's up, we'll get the main up, then we'll get the anchor up, and then we'll use the jib to blow the bow whichever direction.
Now we'll show you how easy it is to sail off the anchor. The mizzen sheet winch is used on the mizzen halyard. Winch control buttons on the pilot remote make life easy. Next comes the mainsail. Finally, the anchor is brought aboard. Then, the mizzen is pulled to one side to blow the bow off to leeward. The jib is sheeted home, and off we go.
One of the nice features of this non-overlapping jib is that in light airs, even on a boat this size, you can sheet it all the way home in the tack without ever using the winch. Okay, here we go. Let's not cut it too close.
All of the design trade-offs in Beowulf are oriented towards offshore work for the two of us. Once the weather is right, all we need to do is clear customs, stock up, do a little cooking for the passage, and we're ready to go. On the trip which follows, we're going to take you with us from Auckland, New Zealand to Raivavai in the Austral Islands. It's a 2,300-mile passage in early winter.
And he had northeast of 30.
We're leaving on the back of a low-pressure system which should guarantee us fair winds for the first few days. With the weather somewhat unsettled, we're starting out well reefed down. As we get a feel for the conditions offshore, we'll get more aggressive with our sail plan.
The upper right-hand number bouncing around is our current speed on the GPS. The large 15.0 number where it says AS, that's the speed average over the last 10 minutes. The AC is our course average over the last 10 minutes.
In the last few hours, a set of swells has started to fill in right on the nose. So we've slowed the boat down to make it more comfortable aboard.
Another front coming behind us, which is why we're getting the northerly winds. Sometimes difficult to maintain your eating habits when you're getting knocked around a little bit. But if you've got yummy bread like this, it makes it easier. Yum, yum.
With the barometer climbing and the breeze going aft, we've set the mizzen jib and reacher. When the breeze drops, we maintain our daily average by powering. This reduces our exposure to weather systems overtaking us from the west.
The boat's settling down somewhat since the sun's come up. The wind seems to have down to happy notch, around 25 knots, 26 knots. It's a 20-knot breakfast.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah, I opened some of our New Zealand raspberries. Aren't they pretty?
Nine. Let's see, 2537. This is where we are. That's where we're going. We'll get by sometime this evening, 8 days after we left.
The Austral Islands are the southern gateway to French Polynesia. Because they are fairly remote, they don't get very many visitors.
Made it. Taking some delicious French baguettes and amalgamating them with peanut butter and jelly.
might be a good time to take a quick look below.
As you've seen, the pilot house gets a lot of use at sea, but it's also one of our favorite spots at anchor. Navigation and communications gear, along with the weather facts, is right at hand. Circuit breakers that are likely to be used, and bilge pump controls are also close. The main salon, galley, and office area are laid out as one large space. The galley area is designed so that you can work without being in line with the stove. There's over 25 cubic feet of fridge, freezer capacity and lots of easily accessed storage space for galley gear. The ship's office provides a large work surface for big projects. The master suite is located forward, where ventilation is best and where we can hear the anchor if it's dragging.
At the forward end of our stateroom is a walk-in closet and one of my favorite parts of the boat.
The clothes and linen storage are out in the open, so mold and mildew is not a problem in humid climates. There are 2 guest cabins aft. On the starboard side is a double bunk, while the port side has upper and lower singles. This is where Steve and I usually sleep if conditions are rough. Each of these cabins have toilet compartments, and they share a shower. We have easily accessed bulk storage in the dressing room, under our bunk and the opposite settee, and of course in the salon and under the aft bunks. On our trip from California to New Zealand, we sailed the traditional route through the South Pacific. From the Marquesas, we headed for the Tuamotus. Our destination is Takaroa, where we have friends from previous visits.
Early in the morning, standing off Takaroa, preparing to go on the pass.
From Takaroa, we decided to bypass the hustle and bustle of Papeete, and so we headed directly to Raiatea. Watch in this sequence how the bow lifts at speed. At rest, or when sailing closer to the wind, it's deeply immersed, softening our ride. This dynamic lift of the bow makes Beowulf much easier to steer, and the faster we go, the more the bow lifts. Less than 20 miles downwind from Raiatea lies Bora Bora. While it has a highly developed tourist business, it still retains some of its old world charm. Between Bora Bora and Tonga, we were lucky to find ourselves in what are known as reinforced trade winds. day at sea, we had a steady 27 knots of breeze, gusting into the low 30s. Beowulf is carrying full main, mizzen, and her large reaching jib. Even at speeds like this, our WH autopilot system keeps Beowulf tracking right on course. This is due to several factors. First, Beowulf steers easily at high speeds. In fact, the faster she goes, the easier she is on the helm. Next, our water ballast is keeping us almost upright, reducing steering loads further. Finally, the WH autopilot has an extremely fast response rate. It starts to correct deviations in course within microseconds of their occurrence. Nui is one of those magical places that sometimes cross your path. It doesn't get many visitors, but for the few that do stop here, it is a special treat. From Nui to Vavau in Tonga is a short hop.
Visitors beware. Busy intersection in Tonga, Monday morning.
Bar and cafe where all the yachties hang out.
You need good ventilation in the tropics to make life aboard enjoyable. Aboard Beowulf, this starts with a series of awnings which are used at anchor and while we're at sea. These provide protection from sun and from rain. There are awnings for all of the hatches, the pilot house windshield, and cockpit.
When we're at anchor, these awnings work as a rain shield and also as a wind scoop. They force the air into the hatch and into the main salon. At night, we close the main salon hatches, and all that fresh air is forced into the one hatch in the master stateroom, giving us a lovely breeze. We leave this hatch open most of the time. When we're at sea, if a little spray comes in, the only thing that gets wet is the shower. There are 14 of these Dorade vents. We can adjust them into any position to direct the airflow, and we also can adjust them as to how much airflow we want to have coming in.
Storm covers protect the hatch gaskets. If you unzip the side panels, the hatch can be cracked at sea, providing extra ventilation. passage between Tonga and Fiji is a real challenge to your navigation skills. There are numerous reefs along the way, not all of which are well charted, so a good lookout 24 hours a day is essential. Carrying 2 spinnakers like this may seem aggressive for just 2 of us, but Beowulf is so easily steered, even with the 2 chutes up, that we're comfortable sailing this way. And besides, it's really fun. Suva is the main port of entry, and this bustling city is a welcome change. After a few days in town, we're always ready for the peace and quiet of the countryside. Beowulf has a central cockpit table with fold-up wings. The table is really nice for eating outside and provides a secure brace when we're at sea. On the afterdeck, there's room for our rowing dink and inflatable. Both are easily launched and retrieved using the mizzen headsail halyards. The trip between Fiji and New Zealand can be one of the most difficult cruisers face. You are on a collision course with the weather coming up the Tasman Sea. On our passage down, we waited for a high-pressure system to establish itself off eastern Australia. We knew this would block frontal systems for at least 5 days. Before leaving, we changed to our heavy weather double head rig. Storm staysail on the inner forestay and number 5 jib on the outer. The high did too good a job, and we ended up having to power over half the trip.
As you can see from this view of the weather facts, not much breeze around.
While we would have preferred to sail, putting the trip behind us in 4 days flat wasn't too hard to take. One of the secrets to the comfort and speed we have with Beowulf is her saltwater ballast. She carries up to 7,500 pounds per side. The plumbing is simple, and basic controls are located in the pilot house. Here she is close reaching without ballast. Watch what happens when we fill the tanks.
We're almost there.
Here's another sequence, a little further off the wind. In both cases, speed goes up and heel drops 6 to 8 degrees. Let's go back a little closer to the equator and warm things up a bit. If you've dreamed about cruising in the tropics, this is as close to paradise as it gets. Hanavavi Bay on Fatu Hiva in the Marquesas Islands is one of the most beautiful anchorages in the world, and the Polynesians that live here are amongst the friendliest in the South Pacific.
Okay, tonight we just traded some 3 pieces of homemade apple pie for 3 lobsters. So we decided instead of taking the chance of having them stay out on deck all night long, we'd cook them before we went to bed.
To clear from French Polynesia, we've got to visit the gendarmes on Nuku Hiva. Taiohae is the big city in this part of the world. Don't know what kind of a passage we're going to have going home, but I do know we're going to eat well. The trip back is against the prevailing northeast trades. On the run line, it is a little over 2,900 miles. It's September, and we'll be in the North Pacific during hurricane season. Our plan is to head due north and get out of the tropics and the danger zone as quickly as possible. If any tropical disturbances crop up while we're en route, we have the option of heaving to below 7 degrees north latitude, which is out of the hurricane zone until it's clear to dash north again. Hurricanes and depressions rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. If we play our cards right, we can use this circulation to slingshot ourselves underneath the center of the disturbance. To do this safely requires the ability to maintain a 12-knot average under sail or power. At this speed, we can turn tail and run from the storm if it changes direction.
We have a situation where the tropical depression we've been watching off the coast has become a Category 3 hurricane. This is the position of Linda's forecast to be in 3 days. Here's Beowulf's current position. This is where we'll be in 3 days if we continue on the current planned course. And then this is the disturbed area that we're keeping an eye on. It's probably going to move over more like this, so we'll be well behind it. We've got a videotape showing you crossing the equator, but we crossed it so fast that we missed it. We turn around and go back, except it's too much work with the spinnaker up. Something that'd be unheard of, using fresh water to rinse the cockpit off. We generate so much water when we're charging the batteries, we can't use it all. Playing in the fire hydrant on a hot summer day here in the northern hemisphere.
The low pressure area north of us has matured into Hurricane Marty. It's moving slowly west, and we've adjusted our course to the east to go behind it. Hurricane Linda is now tracking up the Baja Peninsula. There's a circulation pattern between the two storms, and right now we're riding the southwesterly flow directly towards California.
And this is one of our favorite meals from French Polynesia. Pizza made with the French baguettes.
We would have called the pizza delivery guys, but we didn't think they'd make it here in 30 minutes. This squall's got the wind out of the northwest. Tropical downpour.
It's a race now between us and the North Pacific High. If it reestablishes itself, we'll have the winds and seas right on the nose. On the other hand, as long as we can work this low pressure system, we'll have favorable winds and calm seas.
What's going on in there?
Ooh, having a really neat bubble bath.
When you're sailing backwards against the trades, brought to you courtesy of Linda, Hurricane Linda that is. We're on Port Tack heading northeast.
On a long passage like this, we want to maintain good fuel reserves, in case the engine is necessary to get us out of the way of any weather problems. So we've been powering at 10.5 knots, keeping fuel consumption at 3 gallons per hour.
Is it possible to count the waves around me? Slide down another swell. Let the twilight horizon surround me. nothing I like better to do than to sail away with you. Flying, fishing, phosphorescence, but a dream in my waking landlocked state. The moonlit sea and white caps glowing green. You know there's nothing I like better to do than to sail away with you. Sailing closer to that line, will we see beside? Cover me with dread when high the sky. Horizon. Give me just a taste of food and ask for more. Sunny skies and tropic eyes. Sail around for 30 years or so. No, there's nothing I like better to do than to sail away with you. Sail away with you. Sail away with you.
Come down to this. Today's the day of reckoning. We have to either split off and go to San Diego with arrival for tomorrow, or go on with a quick stop in Catalina and into Marina del Rey. We can't decide. Heads San Diego, tails Catalina. Heads.
Sail away with you.
Beowulf is a development of the 46 yachts which have come before her. We've learned that modest beam, balanced hull lines, fin keels, and spade rudders go together to create easily driven and easily steered designs. These are critical issues in any offshore vessel. The proportions of her ketch rig, with two almost evenly sized and widely spaced spars, are based on many thousands of miles of offshore testing. The fact that Beowulf sails so well without a jib is critical to our tactics in the heavier wind ranges. Our ability to fly mizzen head sails, even when it starts to blow, is a huge advantage, and one of the key reasons why Steve and I are able to keep Beowulf moving at such a fast pace. Beowulf's hull shape is based on what we've learned from the Sundeer series of production yachts. She is all waterline, with a very fine entry angle forward. While she only draws 7.5 feet, what we have in the way of fins are very efficient. All of these factors, hull design, rig, fins, and powering efficiency, create a yacht which is easier for the two of us to handle than anything we've sailed before. If you're out cruising and see us anchored, come by and say hello. If you would like to see some long, unedited scenes of Beowulf sailing in different conditions, leave on your video.